What the hell are you doing just standing there? You think we're paying you to breathe? Landon Duke paused with the fork halfway to his mouth. The voice came from behind the kitchen doors, loud, sharp, and way too personal to be just a typical scolding. He glanced around the dining room of the downtown restaurant, pretending to be just another lunch customer. But he wasn't. He was the CEO. 15 locations. Built from nothing but a food truck and a dream. Landon had never stepped foot inside this specific restaurant before, too busy with expansion, hiring, partnerships. He'd relied on district managers and store reports. But lately, reviews for this place had tanked. Customer complaints. High staff turnover. One more bad quarter, and this location would drag down the others. So he shaved the beard, wore thick glasses, threw on a faded hoodie, and slipped in through the front door just before the lunch rush. He sat alone, ordered a burger, and waited. No one here had met him in person. Most staff had no idea what he looked like. That was the benefit of running a growing chain. He was just another face. The yelling in the back got louder. I told you 3 times table 4 needs refills. You think I got time to babysit you? Landon shifted his chair slightly to see the kitchen pass through window. A young guy in a wrinkled server's uniform stumbled out with a tray of half-filled water glasses. His name tag read, Evan. He looked wrecked, eyes dull, hair messy, limping slightly like he hadn't sat down in hours. Landon caught him glancing at the kitchen, lips pressed tight like he was trying not to cry. The hostess, a tall brunette in her 20s, walked up to Landon's table. You good here? Yeah, Landon said. Just waiting on my burger. She didn't respond, just rolled her eyes and walked off. He noticed her laughing quietly with another server nearby. They both looked toward the kitchen, then back at Evan, who was wiping down a table with shaking hands. Landon leaned back in his seat. Something was off. A few minutes later, Evan approached his table with the burger.
Here you go, sir.
Sorry for the wait. No problem, Landon said, watching him closely. Busy day. Evan gave a weak smile. Always. He turned to leave, but Landon's voice stopped him. Hey, your leg okay? Evan froze, then nodded quickly. Yeah, just sore. Landon didn't press, but he noticed the kid limped every time he walked. And the other staff? They didn't help. In fact, they kept whispering things behind his back. Once, Landon caught a waiter deliberately knocking a stack of menus onto the floor right in Evan's path. The kid bent to pick them up, wincing as he did. The manager walked out of the kitchen a moment later. Evan, what the hell are you doing? We're drowning out here, and you're playing janitor? Evan stood up slowly, menus in hand. I didn't ask for excuses. You're always behind. You're making the rest of us look bad. Landon watched the scene carefully. The manager's voice wasn't just angry, it was cruel. Calculated. And this wasn't a one-time thing. He saw 2 other staff members, both servers, grin as Evan got chewed out. One even muttered, pathetic, under her breath as she walked by him. Evan seemed used to it. That was the worst part. Landon finished his food and stood up. He walked quietly to the restroom, but didn't stop there. Instead, he pushed open the employees-only door and stepped into the back hallway. He didn't care if someone questioned him. He needed to hear more. Inside the staff break room, the door was cracked open. He stood outside listening. Can't believe he's still here, a voice said. It was a guy, probably that curly-haired server from earlier. Every shift, dragging his feet, always screwing up orders. A girl laughed. If he wasn't so pitiful, I'd say fire him already. But hey, makes the rest of us look better, right? Landon's jaw tightened. He's got no family here, someone else added. He's renting that crappy basement a few blocks down. I walked by it once. Dude's basically homeless. The manager's voice chimed in. He should be. No one that useless deserves a damn thing. That was it. Landon stepped away before anyone saw him. He pulled out his phone and called his executive assistant. "This place," he said quietly. "I'm shutting it down for the day. Call the district manager. Tell him to get here in an hour." "You got it." Landon walked back to the dining room. Evan was wiping down another table nearby. His hands trembled slightly. Landon sat back down, pretended to scroll his phone, watched. And Evan had no idea the owner of the company was sitting just a few feet away. Landon stayed in his seat another 10 minutes, long enough to watch the rhythm of the dining room unravel. Orders backed up. Plates left under heat lamps. Drinks sat untouched on the bar counter while customers flagged for refills. It wasn't chaos, it was something worse. Apathy. No urgency. No teamwork. A crew going through the motions, led by someone who barked orders like they were trying to prove they belonged in charge. The district manager arrived quietly and slipped into a booth near the back, per Landon's instructions. No one noticed him. Landon stood and walked past Evan, who was refolding napkins near the drink station. "Excuse me," Landon said, his voice low. "Can you show me the manager?" Evan hesitated.
Sure.
"He's in the back." He pointed toward the kitchen. Landon nodded. "Thanks." He walked straight through the swinging doors. The kitchen was hot, tight, and poorly organized. A prep cook stood elbow-deep in lettuce, headphones in, completely zoned out. Two line cooks argued in Spanish over a missing ticket. The manager, stocky, sweat-streaked, mid-30s, was leaning against the wall near the walk-in cooler, scrolling through his phone. "You're the manager?" Landon asked, calm but direct. The man looked up.
Yeah.
"Who are you?" Landon didn't answer. He glanced at a stack of dirty plates left by the sink, then at the ticket printer blinking red with unclaimed orders. "You're shutting down for the day," Landon said. The manager scoffed. "Excuse me?" "Clear the floor," Landon said. "No more customers." "I've already called corporate." The manager straightened. "Who the hell do you think you are?" Landon reached into his coat pocket and pulled out his ID badge. The name across the top. Landon Duke, founder and CEO. The manager's expression collapsed. "Bring your staff to the dining room," Landon said.
Now.
10 minutes later, the floor was empty. Chairs flipped on tables. Customers refunded and ushered out politely by a stunned hostess. The district manager stood off to the side, arms crossed, jaw tight. Most of the staff looked confused. The manager looked nervous. Evan stood near the back, eyes down, clearly unsure what was happening. Landon faced them. "I've heard enough," he said. "And I've seen enough." He turned to the manager. "You're done. Effective immediately. You're not setting foot in another one of my restaurants." The man tried to respond, but Landon cut him off. "Save it. I've been watching you for an hour. You treat people like punching bags, you let your kitchen run itself into the ground, and you think intimidation replaces leadership. You're finished." The man stood there, stunned. Landon turned to the rest of the staff. "If anyone here thinks that kind of behavior is acceptable, you can leave with him." No one moved. "Good," Landon said. "Because starting now, this place changes." He turned to Evan. "Can I speak with you privately?" Evan looked startled, but nodded. They stepped outside into the alley behind the restaurant. The air was damp, heavy with the scent of fryer oil and cigarette smoke. Landon leaned against the brick wall. "I want to know what's been happening here," he said. Evan rubbed the back of his neck. "I'm not trying to complain. I'm not asking for a complaint," Landon said. "I'm asking for honesty." Evan hesitated, then spoke slowly. "It's been rough for a while. We're short-staffed most days, and when people quit, they don't get replaced. The manager just pushes the rest of us harder. No one says anything because they're scared of losing their job." Landon nodded. "And you?" Evan looked away. "I just try to keep my head down. Do the work. I know I'm not fast, but I don't slack. I'm here every shift. Even when I'm sick. Even when my leg's acting up." "What happened to your leg?" Old injury. From before I moved here. It flares up when I'm on my feet too long. Landon studied him. Where are you staying right now? Evan sighed. Basement room a few blocks down. It's not great, but it's what I could afford after my last roommate bailed. You have family here?
No.
Just me. Landon nodded slowly. Go home. You're off for the next 2 days. Full pay. We'll cover your shifts. Evan blinked. Wait, seriously?
Yes.
And when you come back, you're going to be trained properly. Not yelled at. Not humiliated. Trained. Evan looked like he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I don't know what to say. You already said enough, Landon replied. Now go rest. Back inside, Landon met with the remaining staff. He didn't sugarcoat anything. This place is broken, he said. And it's my fault for being distant. I trusted reports instead of walking through the door myself. That's over. He pointed to the district manager. He's staying here for the next week. No office, no laptop. He's on the floor with you. Every shift. He turned to the cook who'd been ignoring tickets. If you want to keep your job, start acting like you care that customers are eating cold food. The cook nodded silently. Landon continued. We're hiring a new GM. Someone who actually understands how to lead, not bully. Until then, the district manager's in charge. The tall hostess raised a hand slightly. Are we still expected to come in tomorrow? You are, Landon said. But things will be different. If they're not, you call this number. He handed her a card. It goes straight to me. She took it, eyes wide. Landon looked around the room. This place used to stand for something. We built this brand on respect of customers, of staff, of the work. Somewhere along the way, that got lost. He paused. It's on me to get it back. The staff slowly dispersed. Some looked relieved, others wary. But the message was clear. The old way was done. Outside, Landon stood alone near the curb, watching the last of the crew lock up. The sun had dipped behind the buildings, casting the street in long shadows. The district manager stepped up beside him. You want me to write up a full report? No, Landon said. I saw what I needed. Just fix it. The man nodded. You coming back tomorrow? Landon shook his head.
No.
If I'm here, they'll act different. I want to see what happens when no one's watching. He turned to go, then stopped. Make sure Evan's taken care of. Already on it. Landon walked down the sidewalk, hands in his pockets. A few storefronts away, he passed a family eating outside on a patio. The father leaned over, helping his daughter cut her burger. The mother laughed as soda nearly spilled across the table. This was what it was all supposed to be about. He kept walking. The next morning, Evan stood in front of the restaurant's back in trance, unsure whether to go in. He hadn't slept much, his body was sore, his knee worse than usual, but the thought of not showing up made his chest tighten. He'd rested the day before, like Landon told him to, but it didn't feel real. He kept expecting to wake up and realize he'd imagined everything: the confrontation, the shutdown, the CEO standing in the middle of the floor, like something out of a movie. But the building was quiet. No line cooks smoking out back. No clatter of prep trays or early shouting. Just morning light bouncing off the windows and the faint hum of the cooler inside. He stepped in. The familiar scent of stale fryer oil hit first, but something was different. The kitchen lights were on, but dimmed. One of the newer hires, Jo, was already at the prep station chopping vegetables. She looked up when Evan entered. Hey, she said. You're early. Evan shrugged. Figured I'd help get ahead. Jo wiped her hands on her apron. You missed a lot yesterday. Evan raised an eyebrow. New guy showed up, corporate guy. Not like the others. He stayed the whole shift. Didn't just watch either. He was shadowing tables, rechecking orders, even ran food during dinner rush. Evan leaned against the counter. Seriously? Jo nodded. And he's back today. Said he'll be here all week. A voice echoed from the dining room. Evan, can I grab you for a minute? It was the district manager, Marcus. He stood by the hose stand, dressed in a plain black shirt, sleeves rolled up, clipboard under one arm. He looked different from the last time Evan had seen him, less corporate, more present. Evan followed him to the office, which had been cleared of clutter. The whiteboard on the wall had a fresh schedule, handwritten, not printed. Evan's name was on only 2 shifts this week, both mid-length, both paired with 2 experienced staff members. Marcus set the clipboard down. I wanted to check in before we get started. Evan nodded slowly. Okay. I read through every past schedule, Marcus said. You were pulling back-to-back doubles, sometimes 6 days straight. That's not going to happen again. Evan didn't respond right away. He stared at the schedule, then looked up. Am I getting demoted? Marcus shook his head.
No.
You're being given a fair workload. That's it. Evan sat in the chair by the door. I didn't want to complain. You didn't, Marcus replied. But what happened here wasn't subtle. The culture in this place, it's been hostile for a while. Evan hesitated. Is anyone else getting cut? Marcus paused. Not yet. But we're watching closely. Any sign of disrespect, harassment, or people coasting while others carry the weight they're out.
No warnings.
Evan looked at the floor. That's going to shake people up. Marcus nodded. It already has. Later that morning, as the first wave of customers trickled in, Evan took drink orders at table 5. The guests were polite, quiet, a small family with a toddler playing with crayons. Evan moved slower than the others, but he double-checked every detail before walking off. As he passed the drink station, he noticed the hostess Jenna dragging a tray of water glasses with one hand, texting with the other. Need a hand? Evan asked. She didn't look up.
Nah.
I got it. A glass slipped. Water splashed onto the floor. She huffed, set her phone down, and gave Evan a sharp glance. Thanks for offering after I already picked it up, she muttered. He blinked. I just noticed, whatever, she said, brushing past him. Marcus, who had been reviewing orders at the expo window, turned. Jenna, can I speak with you in the office? She froze, glanced at him, and followed without a word. 10 minutes later, she returned, gathered her things, and walked out without saying goodbye. Later, Marcus posted a note by the staff clock and screen. Phones are to be kept off the floor. 1 warning. Second time, shift is ended. Evan didn't ask what the conversation had been. He didn't need to. By mid-afternoon, the mood on the floor had changed. Not lighter, more cautious. No one was sure where the new boundaries were yet. But the constant undercurrent of tension, the snide remarks, the whispered jokes at Evan's expense had vanished. People still moved fast, still worked hard, but they watched their tone. They offered help instead of rolling eyes. After the lunch rush, Evan leaned against the sink in the kitchen, rinsing out pitchers. His leg ached, but he didn't say anything. Marcus walked in, peeling gloves off his hands. You good? He asked. Evan nodded.
Yeah.
Just sore. Marcus studied him a moment. There's a stool in dry storage. Grab it. If you're doing dishes, no reason to stand the whole time. Evan hesitated. You sure? I'm not doing you favors, Marcus said. I'm setting a standard. No one should wreck their body for a food service job. Later that evening, Landon returned, but not through the front. He slipped in through the back, dressed in plain slacks and a pullover. This time he didn't sit. He walked the kitchen, watched the line, tasted a sample plate. He didn't announce himself, just observed. At one point, he pulled Marcus aside. How's it holding up? Marcus leaned against the prep table. Structural issues are deeper than I thought. Some staff are adjusting. Others are waiting to see if we mean it. We do, Landon said. Then you'll need more than just me here. Landon folded his arms. I'm assigning a regional training lead. Someone who can rotate between the underperforming branches and do on-site mentoring. You know anyone ready for something like that? Marcus tilted his head. I might. Landon nodded slowly, then crossed the kitchen and stepped out into the dining room. Evan was at a corner table, rolling silverware. His hands moved slow but steady. Landon approached. You settling back in? Evan looked up, surprised. I think so. Landon pulled out a chair and Saturday, I owe you something. Evan shook his head. You already gave me more than I ever expected. You didn't ask for anything, Landon said. You just kept showing up. Evan looked away. I didn't want to be a problem. You weren't, Landon replied. The problem was people like me trusting systems instead of people. He reached into his pocket and handed Evan a folded sheet of paper. Evan opened it slowly. It was a scholarship application, culinary training, part-time, fully paid. I've seen how you prep, Landon continued. You care about the details. You think ahead. And you've put in more hours than people getting twice your pay. Evan's hands trembled slightly. I don't know what to say. Don't say anything yet, Landon said. Just think about it. It's not charity. It's investment. He stood. And if you take it, we'll make sure your shifts are cut back while you're in the program. Full support, paid hours, no stress. Evan stared at the page, silent. As Landon walked off, Marcus met him by the door. He's going to take it, Marcus said quietly. I hope so, Landon replied. He deserves to build something. That night, the restaurant closed an hour early. Not from lack of business, but because the team was behind on prep and Marcus refused to let anyone stay past scheduled hours. No one argued. No one complained. Evan walked home with a folded paper in his jacket pocket, heart pounding in a way that had nothing to do with exhaustion. For the first time in months, he didn't feel like something to be tolerated. He felt like someone being seen. 2 weeks later, the restaurant opened under a new rhythm. The morning prep crew arrived at 7 sharp, unlocking the back door and walking into a kitchen that had been deep cleaned, reorganized, and restocked. The walk-in fridge had updated labels, color-coded bins, and a new first-in, first-out rotation system. The dry storage shelves had laminated charts detailing inventory, restock procedures, and expiration checks. Evan clocked in at 10. His shift was shorter than the ones he used to work 6 hours, no doubles, and paired with a line cook who had been brought in from another location for temporary support. He still limped slightly, but the pain was manageable. The real difference was in his face. He didn't flinch when someone called his name. He didn't keep his eyes on the floor. He approached Marcus at the expo window. You wanted me to check on the new menus? Evan asked. Marcus looked up from the clipboard.
Yeah.
They're in the office. Make sure the allergen notes are consistent with the updated ingredient list. Evan turned to go. Oh, and Evan, Marcus added. When you're done, swing by the back. We've got a shipment coming in. I want you to shadow inventory with me. Evan paused in the doorway. Shadow. You're learning the system, right? Marcus replied. Might as well see how the back end works. Evan nodded once and disappeared down the hall. In the dining room, the floor staff moved with clean coordination. Orders were double-checked before being sent out. Drinks were delivered within 2 minutes. The music volume had been lowered to allow for clearer communication, and the layout had been adjusted to give servers better sight lines across the floor. At table 12, a customer raised a hand. The new trainer, a soft-spoken man named Diego, stepped over without hesitation. Hey there, the woman said. Just wanted to compliment whoever made this vinaigrette. Best I've had in a long time. Diego smiled politely. That's our house blend. I'll pass it along to the kitchen. He walked past the counter and leaned into the prep area, where Joe was portioning salad toppings. Customer at 12 loved the vinaigrette, he said. Joe raised an eyebrow. Seriously? Dead serious. She gave a quick nod and kept working. Meanwhile, Landon stood near the front window, arms folded, watching the sidewalk traffic. He hadn't planned to return so soon, but something kept pulling him back. Not to oversee, to witness. He spotted a father outside juggling a stroller and a takeout bag. Without a word, Landon opened the door for him. "Appreciate it," the man said, stepping inside. Landon pointed him toward the pickup shelf and stepped back into the dining room. Marcus approached from the kitchen, wiping his hands on a towel. "Things are tightening up," he said. "Still some drag and afternoon turnover, but nothing we can't iron out." Landon nodded. "You've done well." "Not done yet," Marcus said. "Your training lead position. You still want someone internally." Landon turned slightly. "You have a name?" Marcus motioned toward the kitchen door. "Evan." Landon didn't respond right away. He glanced toward the back, where Evan was now unloading cases of produce with steady focus. "He's still learning," Landon said. "So teach him," Marcus replied. "He's not intimidated anymore. That's rare." Landon stepped away without answering. In the back hall, Evan scanned barcodes on each box, cross-referencing them with the order form. It was the first time he'd handled vendor paperwork, and it showed he paused often, checking line items, asking quiet questions. Landon leaned against the cooler door. "You get all that?" Evan looked up, startled. "Almost. The supplier sent 4 cases of greens, not 3. I was checking if it's a pricing error." Landon stepped forward. "You caught that on your own?"
Yeah.
"Good," Landon said. "That's what I want to see." Evan set the clipboard down. "Still getting used to all this." "You're not supposed to know it yet," Landon replied. "You're supposed to want to learn it." Evan scratched the back of his neck. "Can I ask you something?" Landon nodded. "Why did you come in that day? You could have sent someone else." "I've been reading reports for months," Landon said. "None of them told me what I really needed to know. I built this company on relationships. Somewhere along the line, I let that slip. I had to see it for myself." Evan hesitated. "When you saw how I was being treated, was it that bad from the outside?" Landon shook his head. "It was worse." Evan looked down. "But that's over," Landon added. "And now you've got a choice." Evan met his eyes. "You can keep doing what you're doing, clock in, clock out, or you can step up, learn the systems, start mentoring the new hires. I'm not going to pressure you. But if you want to grow, I'll back you." Evan didn't answer right away. Finally, he said, "I want to earn it." "Then start with the allergen sheets," Landon said, walking off. That afternoon, a new server named Tasha joined the lunch shift. It was her first day. She was paired with Joe, who walked her through the steps of service with clipped efficiency, but no condescension. At one point, Tasha miskeyed an order. Joe caught it before it hit the line and corrected it without calling her out. "Pay attention to table numbers," Joe said. "But good job on catching the modifier." Tasha nodded quickly. "Thanks." Nearby, Diego watched the exchange and made a note on his clipboard. Nothing punitive, just tracking. By mid-shift, a customer at the bar flagged down Marcus. He was in his 60s, suit jacket off, sleeves rolled up. "I don't usually comment on this stuff," he said, "but your people? They're on it." Marcus nodded once. "Appreciate that." "No, seriously," the man said. "Last time I was here, it was a mess. Today? Whole different vibe." Marcus didn't offer excuses about the past. He simply said, "We're working on it." In the kitchen, Evan finished checking the prep log and walked toward the dish station. He paused when he saw a young busser struggling to stack trays properly. "Flip the bottom one first," Evan said. "It balances out the weight." The busser followed the advice and nodded. "Thanks," he said. Evan gave a quiet "no problem" and returned to his task. That evening, as the last table paid out, Landon pulled Marcus aside. "I'm pulling the plug on the old training manual," Landon said. "We're rewriting it from the ground up." Marcus nodded. "You want me to head that?" "I want you to lead it," Landon said. "But I want Evan writing the first draft." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "You sure?" He's the one who lived through the worst of it, Landon said. He knows exactly what the manual forgot. When the last guest left, the lights dimmed to closing mode. Staff quietly reset the dining room.
No scouting. No sarcasm.
Just movement. Evan stepped outside to take a breath. The air was cooler now, dusk settling over the street. He sat on the bench near the alley and unfolded the training scholarship again. He'd already submitted the application. Now he was waiting. Behind him, the back door creaked open. Jo stepped outside, tying her hair back. You staying late? Just thinking, Evan said. She sat beside him. I was rough on you, she said. Back then. Evan didn't say anything. I thought if I didn't speak up, I wasn't part of it, she said. But I was. Evan looked over. You're different now. I had to be, she said. We all did. They sat in silence for a moment. You gonna take the training role? She asked. I don't know yet, Evan said. Feels like a big step. Jo stood. That's how you know it's worth doing. She walked back inside. Evan sat there a moment longer. Then he folded the paper, stood up, and followed her in.